Hello everybody, welcome to Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector. You guys can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. You guys can follow me on Twitter as well, at artbyjar. And if you go to jonathanrector.com, if you guys are on DeviantArt, I got my Facebook, all sorts of links right on the main page there that you can check out, as well as my blog. Definitely try to check that out. Also, every Monday and Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I do live Scribbles with Jonathan, which is basically what you're seeing right now, except it's live on Ustream. And there's a link for that in the show notes as well. And I ask anybody to come by, check it out, ask your questions, and I can try to help anybody out that has any problems. But today what I thought we would tackle is a problem that I sort of addressed on the Ustream show. Somebody had a question in the chat room about drawing like crowd scenes or people in perspective and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do in the next following video, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to try to help show vaguely how to draw a character in perspective. A couple ways that I like to do it when I'm kind of stuck on a situation. But this one is laying out, not necessarily taking it to the next step, which would be like fully rendering the drawing and all that stuff. But what it is making it so if you had like a sketch. Here's a perfect example. Okay, so here's some thumbnails that I'm working on for a project right now. You probably can't really see what's going on, but that's the point. It's enough information for me, the artist, to know, and I can send my client this, or whoever you're working with or working for, and you can send them this to see what they think, and it gives the person looking at it, whether it's you or somebody else, exactly what you're trying to get across in the scene. And let's say it's a scene of, I don't know, somebody, like a group of people walking through, a whole bunch of things. What I'm going to try to do is establish it up for you here, okay? So we'll say this entire piece of paper is a panel you're working on, or the illustration. There's a really great book by Andrew Loomis. I think everybody knows it by now. I believe it's figure drawing. It's a figure drawing book for him. Either way, any Loomis book is a fantastic book to check out, and he shows how to break things into perspective much easier than how I'm going to do it. But I'm going to try some shortcuts that might be able to help you out a little bit. Okay, so first off, one of the things is you're going to always need your your horizon line. We'll start it off saying, let's say we're in a mall, and it's a 2-story mall, and we're looking down at some people, okay? So the horizon line would probably be somewhere up top here, like this. And once you have that established, the next is pretty much the easy part. And this could be done many ways. I'm just going to quickly show you one of the ways that I like to do it. I like to usually start with a character. That way I can start building things around the character, like the buildings and stuff like that. But if you're doing like New York City, you might want to start with some buildings first, and then put people in position, in perspective. What's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily perspective, but in proportion. There we go. Proportion to like a car or something like that. But we'll just say, for simplicity's sake, here's our person, okay? Now that I have that established, what you want to do is you want to, you could ballpark it here. How far away is this person from the actual horizon line that you've established? Okay, so this guy is, about 3/4 the distance there. So now that you know that, everybody else that's going to fit in this scene that's on the same plane is going to have to be 3/4 their body length. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a red pencil here, just so I could, I don't know if it'll show up on the screen here, not really, but just for me. So that's about the length that he is there, okay? So if I were to say somebody was about that big, okay, well, I'm just going to carry that down again, and that means the next person's got to fit on there. Bang, we'll knock in that guy. We'll have somebody in the, huge, right in the foreground here. So we'll say, like they're way up here. That's one body length. That might be 2 right there. And you can quickly start to see how they just start popping in, and it starts filling in the scene for you. I mean, right away it helps me. So again, let's say it was a mall or whatever, so maybe this is like a, we'll just do like a basic 1-point perspective here, which I don't really want to talk about too much in this, but I just want to show you how quickly, you could actually knock something like this out. The perspective is pretty primitive, but you can start putting people in places here, so you can just start to see the size that they are and stuff like that. So that's one way of doing it. The next way is actually it's the same way as that, just a little different. Again, here we'll just say that's a horizon line. The next thing that you could do is, instead of having people a certain length away, like we just did in this shot, again, you could do like everybody that's one head away. That's where they start, one head length. Okay. In this one, let's say it's the same type of thing, but it could be the eyes. It could be people's eyes. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of different head shapes here, just quickly. Okay. Now the way I've done it is the eyes have to line up here, and I'm going to draw very simply here. I'm not looking to do anything too crazy, just to get the idea across here. So say this guy's kind of walking 3/4 here. This person's in profile, and this person's looking straight at us. I'm just going to roughly put in where their body would be too. Okay, so now we have their eyes, and that's just something I chose for the shot. I'm just going to, you know, redraw it in here. I'll show it to you guys. It's actually very simple. This is probably the easiest way that I've found, where you could knock out some perspective pretty quickly when it's dealing with figures. And now that you're looking at it, you know, it does look a little goofy because the lines there, and these people are really poorly drawn, but I would hope, because at least to me, when you're looking at this scene, it looks like it could be, it's believable. It's totally believable. Everybody there is, you know, the same distance. Now, what you might get stuck on whenever you do anything like this is specific heights. Like, let's say this guy is 8 foot. He doesn't look any different than this guy who could be 5 feet tall. You know, so definitely play around with that. The idea behind this is like an average height you want to use for people. So we'll say these people are all about 5'8", we'll say. So if I were to go in there and just say, this person here had a friend that he was walking with, you know, and the friend was up here, it still works. You know, it still works because you're just using this as a guide for like a certain height, and it works either way. You could do this as a kneecap. So if somebody was looking at the ground spying on people, you could have everybody's kneecaps lining up. So you could have runners, you could have people walking and things like that. The last thing I wanted to show really quickly was it's the Loomis method that I was talking about before. And it's very similar to what we're doing, except what it basically what it gets down fundamentally is you need to know where your perspective grid is and stuff like that before you even start. So for sake of argument, we'll put, just to change it up, I'll put the horizon line down here. Just give me a second while I rough in some very primitive 2-point perspective. And I highly suggest doing this with a ruler, especially if it's for a professional illustration there. Okay, so I've got my 2-point perspective here. Now, what you're going to want to do is, again, you want to start with something to give you an idea of the volume, the shape, and then like everything have its proportions. Okay, so keep it simple. I'm going to have a human. We'll put him right there. And I'm going to make him line up to this point over here. Okay, so he's kind of standing, not necessarily 3/4, but you know, he's not standing completely straight and boring looking at us here. Okay, so we just box him in there. I'm just going to grab my Sharpie here just so you can see the shapes. And this is kind of the topic that I want to cover in the next video really quickly. It's to help the same person out who had the same questions. It's how to have overlapping shapes to help push things into a certain perspective. But in this video, I don't want to dwell on that too much. Just want to try to get some very simple basics, and I'm hoping you know, the end goal of this video is to help some people that might look at this and go, you know, I could never do a crowd scene or a busy scene, or you just stay away from putting perspective with your drawings, to show that it can be done fairly simply, but it gives you a little bit of courage maybe that you didn't have before to really try to just experiment and knock out some panels and see if you can actually get something that you feel comfortable with. Okay, so now that you have this, let's say we want to do the same thing, but I want to have a guy over here. You know, these guys are just walking on the street or something. What I'm going to do, and again, this is for the same type of height for people, you're going to have to adjust things like this. I'm just going to use that same perspective that I lined them up beginning with, that I did before. And Loomis talks about this before in his book as well. And I'm just going to make another, you know, guideline basically to follow, to put this person into the correct perspective according to the person I've already drawn. Okay, so now I have everything there. So here, that's where his head would be. His chest has to stop here. And his pelvis is right there, kneecaps right there, and then his feet would go there. And I'll just lift his leg up a little bit like he's walking perhaps. You know, nothing too crazy. And just let me get the Sharpie here and put him in there for you. And obviously you can play with this, you know, as much as you want. And really, that's all it is. And you don't necessarily have to keep redrawing them. And this does take a lot of work, but it's very precise, and it helps really sell the illusion that you might be looking for with your readers. And here I'm just going to do the opposite side. And just so you can see that maybe this person's walking away. All right, so that's their chest over there, their hips. Kneecaps over there. Where's this? Alright, so we got a guy walking away. Maybe he's going home from work. Who cares, really? He was looking back. That guy shot him like a really weird remark. And as you can see right away, hopefully, I mean, I hope this is coming across. And just to even sell it, let's put them in like a little subway, maybe. And I'm just going to use that same cheap perspective that I've already established here. Maybe we're going to make some pillars here. Just in case you're having a little bit of trouble seeing it with your eye. Maybe this will help you out a little bit. Perspective is a very tricky beast, especially when it's something really complicated, but I think the more you do it, the more you get a little more of an understanding with it, and you can start to see things a little bit better. But yeah, let's say that was a horizon that we already established before. I'm just going to block it in there so you can see them. And I mean, I hope you get an idea of what I did there, and I explained it enough that you could at least grab a piece of paper, a scrap piece of paper, and do some quick scribbles like this. And, you know, I highly recommend getting straight lines. It might take a little bit of a while, but once you have all these lines established, you know, it's very easy to just start breaking it in. So to review, I'm just going to zoom it in here so you can see it a little bit. All we did was I had the 2-point perspective, blocked in the character there, and used that exact character's proportions and just made a guideline for myself to the perspective point that we made earlier to create this guy. And then I also did that to make him over here. And again, you could even keep going to make them smaller and then bringing them over and stuff like that and playing around with it. But it's a fun little experiment, and it works well with doing like a car or something like that as well. There's that one. This one, again, these two here are like the same method, where what you do is once you have your establishing, or I keep calling it that here, oh boy, what's it called? I'm starting to get a little brain freeze here. Horizon line. Jeez. Once you have a horizon line, come up with a dimension or a proportion that you're going to separate one character from that line, and every other character in that scene that's on that level is going to do that as well. And again, another example for that would be what I did here is I established the eyes. The eyes would be on the horizon line and draw everybody based around that, and they can fit in there. And this is really easy. You can do, you know, if instead of doing something like this for like a crowd scene, like let's say it's a bunch of photographers looking to get a snapshot at Spider-Man, very easy to just hammer something like that out. And maybe you could do a couple different lines up here to get different heights going and stuff like that. The only difference between this one and this one, again, like I said, is instead of using the eyes, I used pretty much, you know, the exact same height of the body from it. It doesn't matter how big they are or how small away they are from there. It's always going to fit. So, I mean, I hope this helped you out again. Check it out. Give it a little rewatch of the video if I went a little bit fast for you. Try it out yourself. I think you'll be happy with the results, and I hope you get a little bit further from this. And in the next video, what I plan on doing is something very similar to this. I'm going to try to redraw all this stuff to have it ready for the show. But how to turn these characters similar to this and how to make it look like they're actually, you know, interesting looking. You know, but yeah, so thanks so much for watching. You can check out my work again at jonathanrector.com. If you guys are on Twitter, by all means give me a check out on there at @artbyjar. And if you have any comments, questions, if you want me to talk about something on the show, by all means send me an email, a private message, or anything like that, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time, and you guys take care. Bye.